What's the scariest thing you've come across on YouTube or on the internet? Story 1. The Antoinette Caidito 911 call. She was kidnapped from her home in the 80s at age 9, and there was a phone call from a girl to the police claiming to be her, and a voice in the background yells, "Who said you could use the phone?" before she screams. A girl that looked like her was also seen at a diner. She kept dropping her fork and grabbing the waitress. A note was found on a napkin that said, "Help me," and "Call the police." It's so sad and terrifying. This case is incredibly sad. There's a lot of evidence pointing to her being sold by her mom to a family member/friend. I think Antoinette's sister referred to the man showing up at their house as their uncle. The mom definitely knows more than she said at the time, and I'm inclined to believe she sold her own daughter for money on alcohol. The saddest part is she tried everything everybody says to do, and she still wasn't helped. Story 2. Russian brick video. A guy is driving down the highway with his wife in the passenger seat. In front of them is a truck carrying a load of bricks. At some point, one of the bricks falls off and smashes through the windshield into the wife's face. This is dash cam footage, so you can't see the aftermath. But the combination of the husband's blood-curdling scream and the still shot of the broken windshield is absolutely horrifying. That video has been stuck in my mind for a long time now. I hate it. This is the most disturbing to me because it could have happened to me. A brick or something hit the passenger side of our windshield and there was glass on my boyfriend's lap, but it didn't go all the way through. I feel so terrible for the man who lost his wife in a very visceral way. Story 3. Some guy got caught in a fabric rolling machine. His feet and legs were slamming the ground at a high rate of speed. Just turned everything that hit the ground into hamburger. Probably died of shock. Who knows, I worked as a lathe machinist previously. Spent 9 hours a day working with a huge lathe, about double the size of a normal metalworking lathe. I got really used to it and didn't think much of it. I didn't really care much about safety since I was so used to it after 4 years of using it all day, until I stumbled upon those absolutely horrifying lathe accident videos. It made me lose sleep for months. It was so bad that it made me actually quit my job, and now I am a software developer instead. Now at least I know that I won't die just by trying to make a living, unless my computer blows up or something, lol. Please be careful, man. I just remembered a repressed memory of a really close call, which was the reason I googled lathe accidents, what to begin with. I was working with a huge cylinder, a drive drum more specifically in the lathe, about as large as myself. I was pretty much done with it. The last step was to polish it a bit, and when you polish something in a lathe, you usually take a long piece of emery cloth behind the cylinder you're working with and pull both ends towards you with your hands while the cylinder is spinning super fast. Now, the mistake I made was that I was wearing gloves. Never ever wear gloves while working on a lathe. All of a sudden, the emery cloth slipped a bit to the left and got caught on the spindle of the lathe. In the blink of an eye, both my hands got sucked into the spindle and my gloves got caught in it. By some absolute miracle, the gloves broke into halves by the sudden force of the spindle and I managed to pull my hands back. Now, a metal working lathe is made to cut deep into metal without slowing down in the slightest. It is incredibly powerful. It would not be bugged in the slightest, swinging around an 85 kg me and 3,200 revolutions per minute, turning me into some sadistic blood-spraying kebab. If it wasn't for my boss being cheap and buying low-quality gloves, I would not have been here today, and just writing this still makes me shiver. Sorry for the long post. I hope this could spread some awareness about working with spinning machinery, though. Never ever get comfortable. And don't wear gloves. Story 4. Station nightclub fire video. I can't go anywhere with indoor pyro since seeing it. It is horrifying how fast it happened. The first people to exit are casually walking out with their drinks, still talking with each other. 3 minutes later, people are screaming with terror and dying. Same. The worst part for me is all the screaming and yelling when he's outside the building. People literally being crushed to death, stuck in a smoky building that's literally on fire and realizing they're dying. The cries, then after a few minutes, it's eerily quiet, haunts me today. Story 5, helmet cam footage from a war. During an attack, soldiers get flanked. The camera guy gets shot pretty bad and hears his mates dying in the background. Then there's footsteps. A guy comes close and says, "Oh, a camera, nice." He grabs it and walks off while filming the trenches with the bodies in there. He yells at his mate, "We got them all. I found a camera and it's still recording." They both rejoice. Coldest thing. Story 6. Probably Two Guys, One Hammer. I don't totally remember what it's called, but it was of some dudes, maybe teens, in Ukraine, killing a man by some train tracks with a hammer. That was the video where I thought, I'm done watching up videos on the internet. Yes, it impacted me similarly. I cannot in any capacity relate to or understand that some people enjoy causing pain, trauma, injury, violence, and death to others. I literally cannot comprehend it. To see death, which I have so many times, and pain and injury makes me feel the sickness and pain of it. And I mentally hit a wall trying to see those who enjoy that as human. To enjoy torturing others is so far removed from my perspective that it feels alien and stupid. Like, this is it. This is all we have. We only have one shot at it, and that's true for everyone. Why purposely purposely make it worse for others. I don't understand how that can be a valid human experience. I don't. They are broken and disgusting, and there are so many of them. Story 7. Back in 2015, I had a cousin gone missing, and because of his behavior prior to that, resentment towards society and suicidal thoughts, his father suspected he was planning and put an end to his life. So by the 4th day after he went missing, I was in school checking my WhatsApp, and in a random neighborhood group, someone sent pictures of a random dude who jumped from a telephone tower near our house. I'm not into gore, but unfortunately my phone was configured to auto-download photos, and when I opened my camera roll, I saw my cousin dead with his neck broken. It was awful. 10 seconds after I saw the photos, my father called me to give the news and warned me that people were sharing the photos online, but by that time, it was too late. Story 8. Footage of a guy getting his throat slashed in a mall, don't quote me on this, somewhere in Australia. The stabbed guy stands there with his hands on his throat for a few seconds, and when he lets go, there is so much blood coming out of his neck. Like all of it at once just gushes out. He falls to the floor and that's it. I was not expecting that at all, and I'm pretty sure he died almost instantly. Story 9. This is not as bad as many on here, but it was shocking to me. I stumbled on a video of a guy cutting a lady's neck in the distance. I just remember there being trees, bushes, IDK just greenery around, and the lady's shirt was blue. They weren't very close to the cam, but you can see the woman moving on the floor as the guy is slicing, so I decided to look into this. I found a site that claimed it was a fake video. Whew! What a relief. I kept scrolling through the searches and saw another site stating that the video thought to be fake was actually real. What a roller coaster. I think it was Chechen. Story 10. I actively avoid the bad stuff like everything here LOL. But I love free climbing / rooftopping content and stumbled into the video of Wu Yongning getting rimrocked on a ledge of a skyscraper, hands on the ledge, feet over on the wall. He didn't have enough strength to pull himself up and then he drops off screen. 62 stories. The dread of being in that situation. Story 11. The video of the dude that casually gets an axe and smacks another dude in the head with it. Story 12. The not friendly neighbors arguing about shoveling snow. One neighbor goes inside to get his gun, and then not a good ending. Story 13. When I first came across TOR, I would spend hours following random links. Obviously, I know how stupid that is now. One day, I came across a directory full of crime scene reports, including photos and some videos. There were several autopsy reports, too. To this day, the image of Mexican cartel members that have been shot in the head with hollow points still pops into my head every now and again. Story 15. IDK if this counts as scary, but it was creepy. I found out that my estranged father posted family videos to YouTube without telling or asking anyone. One of them was me as a toddler, in a bath. One of the most viewed videos was of my mom breastfeeding me when I was a baby. He also put the full names of several people, me included, in the titles. This only came to my attention because a cousin of mine found these videos by looking up my name. Story 16. Saw a video of a girl who made a Snapchat of her and her sister drunk driving recklessly on the highway. The video ends, then begins the next video of her recording after the crash her sister with her skull split in half all the way down her face moaning. The second is a man and woman in a car. The man is showing off a pistol. The woman tries to be cheeky and snatches the pistol and points it at the man and pulls the trigger. Being silly, fires straight into the man's head and his eyes roll back. He's still sitting up but swaying back and forth while groaning and begins agonal breathing. The woman is confused, gets out and runs away. Another was a man getting caught in a large, spinning lathe and being repeatedly smacked into the concrete until he's turned into a bloody pulp, and someone runs over and turns the machine off, all unintentionally seen. Thanks, Internet Story 17. In the mid-90s, I remember when I was 11, trying to find naked pictures of 11-year-old girls. I had absolutely zero idea about internet porn being a thing, kind of wasn't back then, I guess, and just wanted to know what girls looked like. Well, I found the pics and 11-year-old me was satisfied and didn't think much of it until a few years later when I realized I spent about an hour on the internet and found CP. That was way too easy for a kid to find, and thankfully it didn't end up with cops raiding grandparents' house. Story 18. I was totally expecting some creepypasta, Slender Man, fake internet stuff from this post. The replies are very, very not that. Story 19. The audio tape recording of Jonestown cult killing. It has this church music playing backwards that bleeds through from the other side of the tape while you're hearing these people being killed. If anything is haunted and cursed, it is that tape. Story 20. Have family who live in a small rural town. Wanted to see if there was any YouTube content featuring the town. There wasn't, but I came across a YouTube channel that had a video that was just a featureless screen with the name of the town, then repeat the name of the town and, "It's a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to live," in a robotic voice. Thing is, there were hundreds of random towns, all the same thing. Never found the channel again. Story 21. A video called Dreamer Heaven. It looked like it was filmed on a really digital camera in the corner of a dark room. There was a very frightened young shirtless boy in the opposite corner with two men shining flashlights on him. The kid is screaming and crying while the men say things like, "You got a nice body on you. Want to take a shower?" Every time the men moved a bit closer, the kid would scream and try to retreat further into the corner. Then the clip just ended. Most disturbing thing I've ever seen. Story 22. People who think they know how to handle firearms but shouldn't be in the same city as a gun. Guy shoots a steel plate 100 yards away with a Barrett .50 BMG. You hear him hit, nicked by the ricochet before you hear the steel get hit. Women firing a Desert Eagle .50 AE and getting smacked in the face by the recoil. They all look funny, but that's because nobody dies. The couple who tried to make a video using a telephone book to stop a bullet after seeing others do it. Others used 22 LR. They used .44 mag. She took 2 years for involuntary manslaughter. Story 23. This is a totally minor league. Pee-wee, less than pee-wee compared to other answers, but I was looking up hypnosis videos one day. I was super interested, so I found one and completely committed. Staring into the void, music blasting, trying to get hypnotized. Then boom, exorcist's face screaming at me. I know this is a thing, but it was a long time ago before these videos took off. It changed me. It was essentially a video game trick, but with a hypnosis disguise. I think it was extra terrifying because I essentially let all guards down to be hypnotized. I jumped up and ran outside of my house. I was shaking for a while. To this day, I can't see that face without chills. This was 20 years ago. Again, not death-related, but hands down one of the scariest things I've ever experienced. Story 24. Can't believe no one has mentioned Ronnie McNutt. Dude was severely depressed and suffering from PTSD after being deployed to the Middle East one day. He was doing a live stream on Facebook, business as usual, but he was visibly drunk and calling people left and right. Police were at his door because one of his friends immediately noticed something was wrong and called them over to help Ronald. While arguing with his girlfriend who had just broken up with him, he then put down the phone, picked up a single-shot rifle that he previously misfired earlier in the stream, put it under his chin, and painted the room red. Imagine his face looking like that of Demogorgon. It was split in places, and after he shot, he slumped over, and the only thing heard was the sound of blood pouring out of his head. The police, not wanting to be potentially shot at, only then broke into the house, hearing the pouring of his blood and his phone ringing, presumably his mom friend, which McNutt had ignored for the second before taking his life. The scary part was not the fact that he killed himself, but the fact that he had zero hesitation. The US government does far too little to help soldiers with PTSD. Story 25. When I was a kid, I made a bunch of goofy YouTube videos with my friends. I came across a random guy's YouTube channel who also made goofy, funny videos and was slightly more successful than me, which wasn't much. I had like 40 subscribers, LOL. I guess when I was wee lad, I wanted to be a famous YouTuber. Anyways, I emailed this guy who had a few thousand subscribers and asked him how to get bigger on YouTube. He was a few years older than me, maybe a freshman in high school at the time. I was in middle school at the time. Anyway, I start going back and forth with this guy every once in a while talking about YouTube stuff. After a little while, he probably got annoyed by me asking for advice or whatever, and he stopped responding. A few years went by and I forgot about it, but for nostalgic purposes, I would occasionally go back and revisit his honestly cringe and channel. At a certain point, I noticed he had been inactive for a few years, and I occasionally wondered what the guy might be up to. Alright, so what's creepy about this? Well, fast forward a few more years, probably like 2 years ago now. I'm being lazy one night, just scrolling through YouTube, and I see a video from a more famous YouTuber who covers true crime and creepy shit. It has the cringe guy's face in the thumbnail. The video was titled something to the effect of YouTuber loses his mind, kills coworkers in mass shooting. I talked to this dude on social media as a kid. Turned out he had killed several coworkers and himself with a shotgun. Gave me chills. Yeah, the guy was a Randy Stare. Also, I don't remember much of his channel, but I know he started going insane publicly on YouTube. I kinda just thought he was going through something when I was younger and didn't think much of it. Never saw the videos of him basically incriminating himself by spewing a bunch of hateful, mentally ill shit for everyone to see on YouTube. Not until I watched the documentary on him.